dark side and a bright side. The dark side is that really, just very frankly, I think a lot of big companies in the media business is not going to survive this change in 10 years. I think big names today won't be around. And oddly enough, I think one of the real big deciding factors of which media companies survive would be their ability to crowdsource, so to be open to their audience, to stop thinking about an audience as an audience, as a group of people outside of whom we speak, and to bring those people into the process. However, just like all changes, like all organizations, change is very, very different. And I just think a lot of companies just aren't going to be able to do it. Just can't accommodate that because of their ways of doing things just won't allow it. The bright side, however, is I really think that technology has given us these amazing tools to the media business that allow us to do incredibly low-cost publishing. In my case, it's $0 to get started and build a brand and build an audience. And not just do it cheaper, but I think ultimately to deliver a better service to, let's call it an audience, to our readers or our viewers, both in terms of informing people for the news and entertainment. I think we're going to see entirely new forms of information and entertainment emerge from the platform. I'll get to that in a second. Let me back up and run through some slides. I'll tell you the story of fake+steve and how it happened. I'll try to get through it quickly. Okay, good. So for 10 years I was in Forbes. I've been a journalist for 25 years, almost always, a traditional print journalist. And most of the time I was a business journalist and covering tech since 1987. And always very straight up journalism. Just recently I started at Newsweek, which is a big American newsweek. Shocking. Although they said to somebody when I started there, it's like a really quaint notion now in 2008, the idea of a news week, but they didn't find that funny. They didn't think that was a funny joke at all. Anyway, my first column was just 2 weeks ago, and it was, I figured I'd write about Apple, because I spent 2.5 years doing nothing but think about Apple. And that was what it looks like. Now, this is my blog, which is now on hiatus, and I'll explain in a second why. But as you can see, it's pretty bad. It's not very slick and pretty amateur. I threw it up on Blogger. And I started it anonymous. That's the sort of gist. I started it because you can't, if you're pretending to be someone, the idea was, nobody knew who was writing fake+steve, and that sort of built some mystery and suspense around the blog. And this is the character of fake+steve who emerged. He's become like a friend of mine now. He's really not really connected to Steve Jobs and really not connected to me anymore. He sort of became this character was like living with an alter ego for 2 years, and the interesting thing was he developed sort of something I wrote, but the audience had a lot to do with developing who was fake+steve and what were his characteristics. He's very neat. You see, he liked to smoke pot, he had a bomb and a laptop, and he was, kind of a wild guy compared to my own life, which you can tell by looking at me. I don't have a very interesting life, but it's all three of fake+steve. I could. And last fall, I published this book called The Secret Life of Steve Jobs, which got, good reviews. So this is the new paperback. And the review, I like the thoroughly unlikable narrator. My wife loved that. She's like, finally the whole world knows the truth about you. But he is a really unlikable guy in a sense. And yet, the rest of that sentence went on to say, somehow compelling, just like I think Steve Jobs himself. I think you really wouldn't want to work with Steve Jobs or live next to him or be related to him. By the way, somebody just sent me like today. He's actually in Rotterdam, or his jet, he landed in Rotterdam yesterday to go to some conference. So if there are any Apple people here, I apologize in advance. I constantly apologize to Apple. But anyway, so he's a very unlikable guy, sort of an anti-hero to the novel. This summer I put the blog on hiatus, fake+steve blog on hiatus, and I launched this blog called Real Dan, trying to leverage off the fake+steve thing. However, the response has generally been that it's terrible, people hate it. Most of the email I get is people saying, I can't understand how fake+steve is so good, it's so funny, and your own blog is so bad, And the other guys love the internet, the hardest thing to adjust to, but now just like how rude people are on the internet, it's amazing, right? But the new reality we have as journalists, we can no longer New York and just tell the world kind of thing, right? So back to fake+steve. Yeah, here he is. Okay. This was done by a guy in Poland, by the way, in terms of crowdsourcing. It's an interesting anecdote. This guy in Poland started reading my blog and started sending me ideas, started sending me Photoshops, little pictures he'd done. And at one point I needed to do a caricature for Forbes to put up. Forbes kind of began an association with my blog at one point, which I'll get to. So this guy, people like him, who I've never met, but is a really good artist in Poland, did this for me. And a lot of the art, all the art, I have no artistic really, was done by readers, by people who just like the blog and wanted to help out. So it's kind of an open source model. So there's three questions people always ask me about the blog. All right, I'll cover them quickly. One is why? Why did you do it? Two, why Steve Jobs? And three, why does it work? And why does it work is the most interesting one, but we'll whip through the others quickly. The why basically comes down to one reason. Boredom, right? I was covering IBM. I don't know if you have any idea what it's like to be a reporter covering IBM, right? But they don't talk to friends, right? So there's not a lot to do, right? And you talk to them, it's like sticking your hand to a meat grinder. They're just horrible people. They're just terrible, terrible. I feel like them with Apple, I thought IBM was the worst thing in the world, but Apple is actually tough. Anyway, again, as an Apple reporter, there's not much to do. You just call up and they say no comment, and you hang up the phone. So I had a lot of good time. And the other reason, the real reason, was fear. And it's just a great motivator. And I came to realize how wonderful fear is as a driving force in someone's life. So I can see, I'm not completely blind, but I can see that my industry is changing. And the print model is, revenues are in decline. Audiences are going away, advertisers are going away. So this is not a good thing.